guy like me. This is for my girls that want a guy like me. Oh, shut it up, exactly what I wanna do. Shut it up, all the right things and baby now.
Welcome to True Talk. How we doing? I'm your host, John Cantio. We are going to have a lot of fun today. I'm really excited. We've got a psychic-filled, fun hour today on True Talk. First on the show, we're going to do a little hypnosis. We have Barbara Stevens. Everybody give her a hand. Hi, thank you. First time on the show.
It is my first time.
Very nice to meet you. Now, what do you title yourself as?
Stress management consultant, and I'm a certified hypnotist.
Okay.
I've done quite a bit of work with CDPHP and their community outreach. There's no stress in this room, though, is there?
I'm sure there's a little.
We live in very stressful times, so I help people identify how it's affecting them, but mainly what to do about it. And I'm also a hypnotist, so I help people with smoke cessation, weight control, motivation, past lives.
Wow.
Yeah, so I work with the conscious and the subconscious. They pretty much interlink the mind. The mind is such an amazing thing.
But you don't do it all on television, right?
Generally, I don't do it on television. To my mind, it's a very personal thing. So I work one-on-one with the people. But I have a lovely volunteer. We're going to see a little bit of how the conscious and the subconscious mind works. And I also have a little game to play with the audience, too.
Oh, cool. So you can demonstrate that today.
Absolutely.
So how long have you been doing this?
15 years.
15 years.
Yeah, since I was about 10, 15 years. Actually, I come from 30 years of sales. Stressful. And I learned all of this as I was going through my sales, going through, how do we make a cold call? How do you make money doing this thing? Just living day to day, being married for 35 years.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a lot of stress, and I've found ways. I've been my best guinea pig. I've found what helps in the areas of stress, what makes it worse.
How did you get into this? How did you figure out that this is what you wanted to do? And what do you like about it?
I love it. I love working with people. I love empowering people, because that's really what hypnosis is about. When you look at therapy, and therapy is good, but oftentimes people will be in therapy for like years. What hypnosis says is I empower the people to learn the techniques, do the techniques, and then pull themselves up by their bootstraps. And that's what I really love. I got into it in the late 70s. Again, tiny little child. I worked with a fellow that was 6 months older than me, and he was diagnosed with cancer in 1978. Now, that was a big thing in 78. I came from a family that was not ill, so he was the first person I had ever met that had cancer. Unfortunately, I know too many now. But he was diagnosed, he went through chemotherapy, and I couldn't go home and, Google it, right? Find out what it was. I had to go to the library and read. And when I read it, didn't seem like anything good, but what the heck. And when I saw what he went through, it really touched me to the very center of my being, and I said, I don't want to go down that road. How do I not do this? In 1978, there wasn't a lot of information. Today, there's a lot of information.
So let's talk about the ways that hypnosis can help. How can hypnosis help us?
There's a wonderful book that backs up everything that I've been teaching for 15 years, and it's called The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton. He was a stem cell researcher and also a professor at one of the medical institutes. And what he's saying to us is, we really control what goes on inside of us. When we tap into that amazing subconscious mind that controls 80% of our processes, that subconscious mind, we can do anything. And that's what I'm going to show you with you, and that's what I'm going to show the audience today. We have such amazing potential. What hypnosis does is lets us get a lot of the boundaries and limitations that we put on ourselves out of the way. When I was growing up, I was a real tomboy. And my cousin, who I hung around a lot with, she looked just like Shirley Temple. Anyone remember Shirley Temple? Just a cute little thing. And I was skinny with straight hair. And she told me once that I had big ears. So, yeah, this is 6 years old. So in growing up, I always covered my ears. That was a belief that I took on. That was a limitation. That was a boundary. I have big ears. So when I drew a picture of myself, I drew these great big elephant ears on the thing. Right. That was a belief inside of me. Someone older than me had told me that. And when I was 20, you know, fixing your hair, fooling around with a friend, she said to me, Barbara, you don't have big ears. And all of a sudden, I realized I was listening to a 6-year-old. A 20-year-old being controlled by a 6-year-old. And that was almost the beginning of it. What else? What else did they put in there that I really don't want, that's holding me back in my life? And that's why I love doing the, you can tell, I love doing the work that I do, because it's inspiring and it allows all of us to come out of the tunnel that we've built for ourselves.
And a lot of people don't realize that something someone tells you can affect you for the rest of your life.
Clamp right onto it. Clamp right onto it, absolutely.